Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Business of Business podcast, Two Daughters and Their Dad. I'm your host, Staci J. Dempsey, and thankfully, like always, I have the one and only dad and one of the other sisters. Good morning, good afternoon to you, Dad, and to you, Jennifer.
Morning, good afternoon.
And good morning, good afternoon to all of our viewers and our listeners. We're so excited that you've decided to join us today. And today we want to just jump right into a topic that I think everyone maybe is feeling, whether we can identify what that is or not. The world around us is changing, and certainly business is always changing. And so today we kind of want to just talk about, how the current economy, how, businesses are having to reshape and rethink how they're doing business and how we can survive and then thrive through all of this. And for anyone that has been in business, thinking about being in business, this is not our first rodeo of what's about to happen, what's going on. This feels a little like uncharted territory. And so this isn't the first time. It won't be the last time, but we felt like today could be a really good reminder to let's talk about ways that we can, look at what we're doing. What are our opportunities? How can we think outside the box to do things a little bit differently? And keep moving forward and keep doing well inside of our businesses. Jennifer, I'm going to throw this over to you to start us out because you brought this wonderful topic up to us because of some different things that you're seeing inside your business, what some of your clients are sharing with you about their businesses. So why don't you just share a little bit with our viewers and our listeners on kind of what has been transpiring inside your business for the last couple of weeks and conversations you've been having with some of your clients?
Yeah, I was sharing before we hit record, I was sharing that, when you're in business long enough, you start to understand kind of the ebbs and flows of your business or maybe the industry that you're in. And so typically, and inside of my business, January is normally the slowest month. And so I know that I'm prepared for that. I'm not surprised by it, but there's no doubt that this past month has been unique to the last 15 years I've been in this industry. And so whenever you're in a service-based industry, I'm sure you guys can agree that whatever's happening, especially in the economy, can be a direct reflection of what your consumers are doing inside of your business. So obviously, as an entrepreneur, we have to be able to adapt to the times. I remember when we used to say the times for COVID. I know Staci used to say that a lot. So now these are the new times, then we're just, absorbing, trying to navigate, trying to understand what's happening. And of course, how can we adapt? And so one thing inside of my business that has been a challenge is the rising costs of doing business. And I'm sure that there's entrepreneurs on this podcast that can relate. I own a hair salon. So there's very few services that we have inside of the salon that does not require any type of product. And so we could list down, obviously, all the things that we need to be able to provide amazing hair to our clients. And so I'm faced with a challenge because I do think when you're in business, it's about your integrity, and I'm all about healthy hair. So I want to use the best of the best products. And we know when you want to do that, the best of the best comes with a large price tag. And so the challenge right now for me is, all right, there's obviously other products I can use at a lower price point. Doesn't necessarily mean that I want to use those kind of products. I don't think that they're the best kind of products to use. So as I'm faced with this challenge, we're coming up with solutions of how we can navigate it. And, maybe there's some areas of the business that we can dip a little bit lower and different products. And then there's some that's just a non-negotiable for me in more of that hair coloring world. And so we're just adjusting, we're talking to the distributors, we're talking to the brands that we work with on how we can navigate costs, especially because the biggest thing I do not want to do is have to push those costs onto the consumers. Because as you guys know, I talk all day long to lots of different people. It's one of my favorite things to do. And so I know what our people, our clients, our consumers, people that are walking into your business, I understand what they're going through. And even for myself, I've cut back on things. I love to get a massage every single month, but that had to change a little bit for me, right? So we know that consumers are cutting back, and we have to be supportive and understanding of where our clients are at. So understanding the problem, understanding the challenge, trying to embrace the mindset of change is important as an entrepreneur. And how can we navigate this challenge? And so that's the challenge that I'm dealing with right now inside of the business. And also knowing that this will pass. When you've been in business for so long, COVID was such a hot topic for us on this podcast. I was scared. And so the good thing about challenges is that every time you're faced with a new one and you walk through the challenge and you get to the other side of fulfillment, you like build these stronger muscles for the next challenge and then the next challenge. So we know that there's always a solution to every problem. And so we just have to have this podcast to talk about what the solutions are for some of these problems.
Yeah, Jennifer, you bring up a really good maybe bullet point nugget. Number one is that, when we look at some of the things that we've lived through when it comes to our business, and Dad, you'll have to correct me. I know, I had started early on in my career. I think it was the housing crash of, was it 2008 maybe, or 2005? And, the housing market comes crashing down, and that inadvertently affected a lot of the clients that we work with, a lot of contractors, a lot of people tied to agriculture. And so we were really in a season of people coming in, removing some coverages, just trying to save as much money as they could without sacrificing coverages, because our clients were really, really struggling. And so obviously that is a trickle down effect to our business that affects, our revenue and whatnot. But when I look back at that time, many of us were sitting around the table going, it was kind of hard and fast. It wasn't oh, it's 5 or 6 months. It kind of came on pretty quickly, the decrease and the kind of the almost panic of our clients that were coming to us. They're sharing with us how things are drastically affecting them. We're here to be as helpful as possible. But again, now it's affecting us and our revenue. But when I think back to that time and then kind of what transpired out of that relatively short while later, I say relatively, that's probably a very loose term, but what ended up happening was really, okay, you know what? Those clients, they figured it out. They had to increase coverages. But then we took the opportunity to say, let's go try and connect with new clients that are in the same boat. Their businesses are suffering. Hey, how can we, kind of help walk you through this? Here, let's take a look at and so we were able to bring on more clients, and we were able to serve people let me show you what's worked for other clients that you probably know, people that you probably know that could, kind of vouch for us. And we really went into just, let's try to help as many people as possible. And relatively what happened relatively shortly after that was that the clients that we already had and the clients that came on during that downtime, well, their businesses started taking off because they were thinking outside the box. They were seeing what was kind of in their wheelhouse, grow their business, and their business started flourishing. And now not only did we have those original clients, but now we had all these new clients. And so the opportunity in it to serve and help people, after that, obviously then our revenue increases. And so when I think back to that time and now look at where we are right now, the feeling kind of right now is the same, where people are like, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to, this is all affecting my business. And like you said, Jennifer, all of this is affecting everyone. There's not going to be one person that you talk to in business or not in business that the economy, the unknown is not affecting right now. So we're kind of all in this together in some capacity. But I guess my point is that you probably, our viewers and our listeners, have those very same times that you can think back to. And maybe you weren't in business at that time, but you can think back and go, that was tough. I've got those muscles now. Let me go back to what I know worked in 2005, in 2008, and try to apply that now and use that mindset and then start building into the tools that we've built all these years, all these tools that we have these now, and see how we can find the opportunity, increase our mindset, and like you said, Jennifer, this too shall pass. But let's kind of go back to the basics. What are you thinking, Dad?
No, I like it. I mean, I like, the points you're bringing. I mean, we've talked about, this probably, more than a few times over the past couple years in terms of, higher costs of doing business, other disruptions, AI disruptions, things like that. I think what's important for our listeners and our entrepreneurs and our budding entrepreneurs is just to understand that change is consistent, change is coming faster. So I love the building of the muscles that you get when you're dealing and navigating change, not retreating from it, but, moving forward. When you're given the example of, the 2008, 2009, that was a very difficult time. There was a lot of fear because, in reality, we were on virtual financial collapse in this country. And so, everything changed and it changed fast. And so, being able to think back is so important. And I love that point, is thinking back to say, okay, we've been down this road before. We've handled challenges. We've handled bad economies. We've handled a lot of different things, and we navigated them and came through in many ways stronger and wiser, right? So I think that's probably, if there's one, nugget of information from this podcast, that would be it. You're going to come out of this and you're going to come out of it better. Now, when it comes to, and I can remember, for example, we do a lot of health insurance out of our office. And I know when the Affordable Care Act came about, that changed the face of health insurance and how it was handled and how group insurance was being done. And so I remember sitting down with our team saying, listen, I'm not sure what all this means. I'm hearing what it could mean, and it definitely could mean, a drop in our revenue. I said, but here's the approach we want to take. We're not going to take a scarcity approach, and we're not going to take a fear approach. The approach that we're going to take is we're here to help people. And I think you just alluded to that too, Staci and Jennifer, is, how can we help people? No matter what the revenue picture looks like, because in our case, I remember saying to our team, we don't have all of our eggs in this basket. We have other profit centers, other lines, streams of income. So we don't need to hold on tight. We don't need to get protective and try to get people to do something to protect our revenue. We need to help them navigate this monumental change in our health insurance and healthcare delivery system. And that's what we did. And so what we found was it basically separated the wheat from the chaff out there, because there was a lot of people who were doing health insurance that got very protective because all their revenue was based on health insurance. And so we ended up picking up a lot of new clients because our commitment was to help, not protect. So we came out stronger and better. And we still have a very strong health department today that provides a lot of valuable services to our clients. So another example, but I think, right now, what we're experiencing is that uncertainty. And I think that's always kind of the challenge out there. I mean, when we know something, well, we know how to navigate it. When we're unsure, then we don't. And I think there's just, we have a new change in the administration. We have, certainly a lot of things happening out there that are coming fast and furious. And so, it's creating a lot of uncertainty on what does all this mean for the economy? What does it mean for my business? What does it mean for my household income? So uncertainty is always, a difficult place to operate in. And so I think that if we understand that, then we build our approach and our business around it. Now, if we know that, inflation is going to continue to skyrocket, well, then you have to deal with that, in your business. But if it's uncertainty, then, all right, well, what does that mean? How do I approach uncertainty in the economy with my particular business? And I believe that it's always about, if you change, the way you phrase it, from how do I navigate uncertainty to how do I bring value to my customer base, to my client base in the midst of uncertainty, then, it'll start to frame maybe how you navigate your marketing, how you navigate, you managing your business efficiencies, how do you communicate to your employees to give them a peace of mind that everything's going to be okay. I mean, it really does, I think, change, kind of how we can see things rather than, just approaching it from kind of a scarcity perspective.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. So Jen, what are some things that, when you take a quick look back, what are some things that you can say that, that maybe you could offer up to our viewers and our listeners around things that, in the face of uncertainty and face of fear, what are some, tactics, what are some things that you're going to focus on? I know before, and we've talked a lot about it on this podcast, having the right mindset, taking a look at things, inside of our business that, is this an ebb and flow? If it is, what do we do on those down times that maybe we don't have time? We don't have all the time to do when business is more of a, on the upwards flow. Maybe share with our listeners a couple of the things that you think that, you feel like you're going to be able to work on or implement right now.
Yeah, well, let me start by saying, and it took me a long time to get to this place. Me and Dad have talked about this a lot. As an entrepreneur, you got to let go of what you can't control, because all that's going to do is keep you up at night. And I think me and Dad share that in common. We've talked about it. Like, I know when I'm stressed or I'm worried, the first indication for me is I'm losing sleep. So much easier said than done, but there's some things that you just don't have control over. And so, my advice to any entrepreneur that's in business right now, it's you still have to just wake up, walk into your business, and do the best that you can with what you have going. And just continue to feed a positive mindset, continue to just be your best, take care of yourself, whatever that means to be able to take care of yourself. And, things always have a way of working themselves out. And when you're in that stress, tense kind of mindset, you can't think clearly. So if you can take a step away, go walk on the treadmill, go outside for a walk, sometimes that's when the best ideas come to me, or the most, that brings me certainty in that aspect. So let's start there. But I think the second part of that is, again, being able to look at your business and what has worked and what hasn't. And so for me in my business, it's always kind of been a lot of like incentivizing. And that just simply is not working for the consumer. I'm not saying that it's not going to work for the local pizza shop or maybe a different business. But for me in my business, that incentivizing is just not working the way it used to. And so as I understand that, I took some time to think about it. And I'm going to share with you guys a new marketing tool that I started using. But let's stay creative in those areas that we can control, right? You have full control over marketing and how you present your business and how you walk outside into the world. And so don't be afraid to try new things. If something doesn't work, we have the power of change as entrepreneurs. So again, I said I was really into incentivizing. Now what I've been doing the start of this year is really working one-on-one with other business owners. And so I love to show up as, starting with people that support me, clients that come into the salon. And so showing up for them inside of their businesses and offering them direct incentives to help Listen, if there's somebody in your business, somebody that you know that could really benefit, coming into my business, they're looking for an experienced stylist. They're looking for someone with a lot of knowledge. They're going to have a great experience. I would love for you to send them. And here's the incentive for doing that for you and this new client. And so just, we get so wrapped up in like blasting emails and mass texting and just putting things out on social media. Sometimes we have to go back to those relationships and really get one-on-one with the people that have really supported you and say, hey, listen, I want more people like you inside of my business. And so how can we work together to make that happen? And so that alone, just a new marketing strategy, something that you're focused on, can really breathe new air inside of your business, can really give you like a renewed sense, excite you a little bit. Sometimes when we're in that everyday hustle, it's like, I'm tired, I'm bored. Entrepreneurs get bored easily, guys. I just started baking bread, okay? Everyone around me is like, what's going on? Are you bored? Like, you baking bread, you have to continue to try new things and be creative around that. So that's something new that I started doing, encouraging my team to do the same thing. And let's get back to having relationships and really being personal, inviting people inside of our business, showing them our value, and just showing up for people and just being authentic. And somehow that shows up inside of your business and it will come back to you in a new way. So hopefully that's encouraging for someone on this podcast.
Love it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, having that, you know, having that network, whether it's, I know in Jennifer's case, she utilizes a business coach, so that could be something that would make some sense if you're not doing that now, but again, maybe just networking with other small business owners, whether it's maybe getting involved with your local chamber, whether it's getting involved in maybe a business type of networking, just so again, you can have, you can have other people start to understand your business, because you never know when that one insight, from someone who is an entrepreneur can kind of change the direction of things for you. But the last thing you want to do is to kind of, crawl back and just kind of keep it all to yourself, the challenges or trying to navigate and those kind of things. So that's huge. And the other thing I would say is when there's uncertainty, yes, we want to focus on that 4-letter word, HELP. How can I help people? Because they're navigating that too. So how can I bring value? But also say, okay, well, where is the opportunity in this? I mean, because yes, you might be feeling some challenges coming from the uncertainty that's out there. But if you try to approach it again with a clear mind and say, okay, but how can I capitalize on this uncertainty? Is there, in my marketing, in my communication, and my promotions, however you drive people to your business. I know we were talking earlier, where Jennifer's seeing the trend of people doing where they might have came into the salon several times a year. Now they're reducing that down. They're waiting a little bit longer. Well, maybe the opportunity in that is, okay, I have more capacity, to take on new clients, because of not as many services being offered to our existing client base. So what's my marketing? How am I going to drive new people into my business? And again, like I said, there can be a lot of different approaches to that, but not lose sight of the fact that, out of every challenge, there's an equal or greater opportunity. And I didn't make that up. That was originally written by Napoleon Hill in Think and Grow Rich. Out of every adversity, every challenge is an equal or greater opportunity. And so I think if you don't lose sight of that, then not only will your business maintain, but as we put into I think the title of this podcast, even thrive. Great question. How can we thrive in the midst of the uncertainty? So good question to ask yourself.
Stuff. Wonderful. And the other thing that I would just like to add before we start to wrap up is that if you are in an industry that you are friendly with other businesses that are like yours. So for example, I know that a lot of the winery clients that I work with, they work with each other. They talk to each other. They, come together, and they bounce ideas off of each other. So if you're in an industry where you can have that, level of collaboration, I know in our line of work, there are agencies and agents that, they're in Arizona, they're in Massachusetts that, they're being successful in some way, shape, or form. We can call them and say, tell me some of the things that you're doing that's working. Because sometimes it just takes that one, we've all had that light bulb go off to go, oh gosh, you mean the thing that was been right in front of me I could be doing? And it may not be a new idea. It may just be a refreshed idea that, you just haven't thought of in a long time. So, but as we said before, this too shall pass. And if anything, we will continue to grow our business muscles, which means, I guess, Dad, you are so buff, the buffest. What a stud. So keep building those muscles, keep working out so you can be buff like Dad. And we want to thank all of our viewers and our listeners for tuning in with us. And we look forward to talking with you in our next episode. Bye-bye now.